This is kind of an exciting video for me to shoot because I'm moving into the next stage of the project to restore the 79 24-foot Mark Twain. We're going to talk about the fiberglass side of this, which means I'm almost done taking stuff out of the boat, and now I need to get smart on how to put stuff back into the boat. So this is my setup. Let me grab the camera and I'll show you around. So this is one corner of the boathouse. There's other videos about how I built this structure, but it's working out great. It allows me to keep working even if it's raining. It's pretty hot. It's about 85 in here right now. I got some fans going. I got a big pedestal fan. I can't run it right now because you wouldn't be able to hear me. But we'll start over here on the table, and the table itself, it's two tabletops put on top of sawhorses and with 2x4s underneath for support. It's not the best, but it certainly is serviceable. I've got some plastic. Actually, it's leftover plastic from the boathouse that is covering it, so that'll be nice to keep the resin off the table itself. So I've gone ahead and gotten enough things to get started with resin wise, and you can see it all kind of laid out here. I'm going to start over here, and this may be the most important piece of equipment. It is your respirator. I've shown this before in other videos, but this is a 3M model. What is this, a 6200? Yeah, I think it's a 6200. The important part is the cartridges, and hopefully that's coming through clear. That is a 60926 3M cartridge, which is good for this kind of work. But as I understand it, the most important time to wear a respirator is with the polyester resin. I guess not as much with the epoxy resin, but I'm gonna try and keep it on all the time, just because I don't want any problems with my lungs as I get older. I picked up 3 different size popsicle sticks to be used as stirrers, and using the end as a radius for filleting the thickened epoxy. I'm probably going to end up liking one over the others, and I don't know what's going to happen to them, but they only cost like $3 a package. I got some good gloves. These are not the real cheapy cheap. These are industrial strength, and they are the nitrile. And again, a lot of what I know or think I know comes from watching Andy Miller's videos. He's got the Boatworks Today website, and you can see his stuff on YouTube as well. I've watched every one of his videos. I think they're great, and so this is my time to put into practice the things that I've learned, or hope I learned, from watching the videos. So, moving on. A mixing cup. I've got a couple different sizes. This is a quart, and for the stuff that I'm going to be doing initially, that's plenty big. I do have some bigger ones when I have to make up larger batches. Okay, so I guess we'll start here. This is a gallon of Total Boat's 2-to-1 ratio epoxy resin, and it's hardener. Now there's different hardeners for different temperatures and different pot lives. You can get some that flash off real fast. or give you more time to work. Allows you to work in lower temperatures, so I'm not going to bore you with all the details. That stuff's on the website. The kit came with some pumps, which are real nice, 1 pump of each, and it gives you the right ratio. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to learn how to make peanut butter. And peanut butter is a thickened epoxy resin, and it's used for filleting, for structural strength, and I guess you can actually kind of use it as a glue. So these are the two things that go into the epoxy to make it stronger and thicker. This is Total Boat's Silica Thickener. I think another term for this is Cabasil. It is super, super, super fine and light. I don't know if this will come through or not, but this is a little bit that spilled when I opened up the can just a little bit. It is really fine. You do not want to open that up outside where there's any wind at all. And again, that's why the fan is off, because I wouldn't want that to blow around. You also mix in milled fiberglass. So this is fiberglass strands chopped very, very, very finely. It's well, I don't want to spill this, that's for darn sure. So it's not quite as fine as the silica, but it's still chopped up pretty doggone tiny. And this goes into the mix as well. This gives it some more stiffness and strength. So again, I've never done it before, but one of the first things we're going to do is mix up some peanut butter. Alright, I got some penetrating epoxy. Wood is going to be very, very thirsty, bare wood, and you've got to get enough resin on the bare wood to keep it from sucking all the resin out of a layer of fiberglass that you might lay down. If you do that, you'll end up with a very dry layup, and that's not very strong. So one of the things you can do is use this penetrating epoxy. It's thinner than the other epoxy, so I guess the thinking is it is absorbed more. I've also read and heard that you can just use the regular resin thinned out a little bit to do pretty much the same thing, but Total Boat was nice enough to send that along, and so we'll give it a try and see how it works. This is the polyester side of things. I have yet to buy the polyester resin, and there's a good reason for that. The polyester has a shelf life. It should be used within, say, 1 month of its manufacture date. Certain people will tell you you have a couple months, but I didn't want to buy it and have it sit around and go out of date. You know, I didn't know how long the demo was going to take, so I didn't buy it yet. I'll have to get some of that. But what I do have is a can of gel coat. That's the outermost layer after you do the fiberglassing. That's what shows. So that's the good stuff. I've got the wax additive, which you put in the last layer so the stuff dries up properly, and the hardener for that. I got a can of fairing compound, and that's basically easily sandable layer that you put on after the fiberglass and before the gel coat. It fills in any slight low spots, any pinholes that might be in the fiberglass, just gives you a real solid surface, smooth, to go ahead and put the gel coat on. And then I have the dewaxer and surface prep from Total Boat that is used to clean before you apply either of these products. So I'm sure you'll see that used. Alright, and last but not least, I got these off of Amazon. I thought they looked cool. You can use these to prop up something that you've fiberglassed, and maybe that side is not fully dry, but you want to get going on the other side, so you can put them up on these little plastic things. I think they'll work just fine. They were a few dollars on Amazon. So, you might have seen in the background my rack of fiberglass. And so I started, I had no idea how much I was going to need. I wanted to be able to do this very first learning video. And so I started getting some of the fiberglass. The Total Boat guys were real helpful. And then, if you've been watching any of these videos, you know that I'm a big Facebook Market or Craigslist kind of guy. And I started seeing people selling fiberglass on these sites, and I'm always looking for a bargain. So I got a lot of these rolls of fiberglass for considerably less than new. Sorry, Total Boat, but secondhand is definitely cheaper than buying it new. So again, you may be lucky enough to find some being sold, or you may need to go the new route. But let me just kind of show you what I got. And as you can see, these are numbered. There's number 1, number 2. I'll bet you know what comes next. But I wanted to keep a track of what everything was, and so I wrote it down. This is the paper where I've been doing all my estimating, so I can have a rough idea if I've got enough. And over here is the different fiberglasses that I've got and how much of it, how wide they are. So number 1 is this down here, and this is cloth, woven cloth. It's 38 inches wide, and I got about 30 yards of it. You can see it's a little dirty, so I'm definitely going to have to get rid of the first layer. It's not good to use dirty fiberglass. Number 2 is chopped strand mat. This is the 1.5 ounce variety, and this is 50 inches long. If you can see over there, kind of underneath the table, that's nice and big, and I got a whole bunch of that. That's about 50 yards. Number 3 is bending my pole. That is also 1.5 ounce chopped strand mat, and I've got that's 38 inches wide, and I've got 33 yards of that. Okay, so now comes number 9, because I had to change things around. We go up to number 4, and that is 0.75, 3/4 ounce chopped strand mat. There's a couple places where I wanted something that was a little lighter and easier to work with, so I got some of that. That's 38 inches by 3 yards. Number 5 is right here, and this is kind of my my grab bag. I got several different types and weights of cloth. They're 36 inches, and most of them are 1 yard samples. So that'll come in handy, and I'll show you some of the different ones. All right, moving on to number 6, and that is good old 1708 biaxial. This is 38 inches wide, and I've got 3 yards to start with. The 1708, I think, is probably the the carry-all, the workhorse of the fiberglasses. I don't know if I can show you a piece of this. Yeah. So on one side is the chopped strand mat, and on the other side is 17-ounce cloth, and they are stitched together. There's no binder like there is in chopped strand mat, and we'll talk about why that's important later. But this is real easy to work with, goes around corners nicely, and provides a lot of strength. So 1708 is good stuff. All right, number 7 is more 1708, but this is a 50-inch wide roll, Big Mama, and I've got 10 yards of that. Number 8 is chopped strand mat again. This is very, very thin. This is 0.5 ounce. It is really, really light. I don't know if that shows up or not, but it is just really thin. And I have one thing that I really wanted, something very thin, very easy to work with, pliable. So I didn't get a whole lot of that. That's 38 inches, and I've only got a yard or two there. Okay, number 9 is a big one. And number 9 is, well, I'm not sure what it is, to tell you the truth. This was something that I got from a guy who started a boat project. He bought a bunch of stuff, and I guess he lost his interest in the boat project. This is like the 1708. It's the chopped strand mat on the one side and the woven cloth on the other. And you can see that this stuff is really, really thick. It is industrial strength and just big. So I wasn't out looking for this kind of stuff, but I again saw an ad that was intriguing. I couldn't turn down the price. I'm a little nervous about how thick it is and how much resin it's going to suck up. I may end up regretting that, but for doing the deck and things like that, big flat areas, I think it'll be great. It'll certainly cut down the number of layers, but as I said, it's going to suck up a whole bunch of resin doing it. All right, number 10. Number 10 is over here. So, quick backstory on all this stuff is a fella had a boat building business in Lancaster, PA, and he unfortunately passed, and his son-in-law was cleaning out his shop and selling all this stuff. So 10, 11, and 12 are just different size rolls of this, and I'm not sure what to call it. Somebody said it was 1808, but I've not been able to find that advertised anywhere. It's the same stuff as I just showed you. Exactly the same thickness and weight, and again the chop strand on one side and the heavy duty woven on the other side. But I got a 24-inch roll here, a 12-inch roll there, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rolls of 8-inch wide. So I got all kinds of this stuff, and I paid next to nothing for it. So again, I can't argue with free, and can argue only a little bit with almost free. One thing about this stuff is I definitely found out the hard way to wear gloves. It definitely will stick you. It also has a tendency to fray, so we'll have to be careful with that and pull off anything that comes loose. So that is pretty much the tour. Now I will have to get the polyester resin to come in to finish the next thing, which let me get it up on the table and I'll show you. So I finally finished my my work table. The longest part I'm going to have to do is the stringers, so they are 12 feet long, and using some old tabletops, I now have 12 feet of layout room. This is an old desktop, and then these are some tabletops from tables that aren't used anymore. Luckily I had 2 of them, and so I've got a nice 12-foot area. I put the leftover plastic from the boathouse down, and it works really good for keeping the fiberglass from sticking. It would make your table a terrible mess if you didn't do it. I also used some extra plastic to cover my fiberglass collection. I think we talked in an earlier video about my wonderful luck collecting all this stuff. I've been hounding Facebook Market and Craigslist, and it is amazing how much of this stuff is out there. People start projects, and I guess they find out how much work it is, or money, or both, and they're more than willing to sell this stuff at a real cheap price. These smaller rolls, they will be wonderful for tabbing. And I got some more small rolls. I'm covering everything up with plastic because dust and dirt is just going to mean I have to throw more of this stuff away. So I built these racks just out of junk wood, and everything's ready to be pulled out. Unfortunately, it is cold, cold, cold. We are, well, let's see, what are we at? We are at about 38 degrees in here. I'm in just a sweatshirt, so it's not that bad, but it's too cold to do fiberglassing. This is Andy Miller's Boatworks Today Fiberglass 101 manual that you can download. I think it's about 20 bucks. Well worth it. This is kind of everything that a beginner needs to know for learning how to fiberglass. You can see I've got some notes that I found useful written all over it, so I recommend that highly. And one of the things it tells you in there is the working temperatures. The PE, or polyester resin, it needs to be at least 65 degrees, and that's with the real fast hardener you need to use. Pretty sure I'm right about that. And epoxy, you can use that down around 55 degrees with the right hardener as well. So it's nowhere near that, so I'm going to have to wait for a much sunnier, warmer day to do any fiberglassing. And I will show you this too. One little tip that I got from Andy is to never throw away any of your scraps. So I just got this piece of cardboard, and any little bits of fiberglass that are leftover pieces cut off, I'm going to keep them in here. Keep the cardboard closed so it stays clean, and I'm sure I will be using that as the time goes on. So you can see a lot less of the supplies than was out here before, and that's because the fiberglass resin does not like the cold. It also doesn't like a whole lot of light. So if it's kept at a reasonable, moderate temperature and in the dark, it lasts a lot longer. Epoxy will last a year or more in good shape, but the polyester resin, it really has a shelf life of about 3 months after manufacture. If you keep it in perfect conditions, you can get more, 6 months, maybe 9 months if you're real lucky, but I'm just not keeping it out here in the cold, so hopefully mine will last long enough. All right, that's all for now. Back into the winter wonderland.